For many of us, Tchaikovsky's Nutcracker is inseparable from Christmas and the New Year. The tree, the presents, the festive table, that sparkling feeling of expectation. And somewhere in the background, Tchaikovsky's music is almost always playing. Behind the ballet lies A Christmas Tale by Hoffmann, about a little girl and a strange wooden toy that comes to life at night and leads a battle against the mice. But this story only became truly world famous at the end of the 19th century, when Tchaikovsky turned it into a ballet. When we hear the word Nutcracker, most of us probably think of the march, the waltz of the flowers, and perhaps the famous dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy. Today, its crystalline sound feels completely natural to us, as if it had always been there. But if we could travel back to December 1892 and sit in the audience of the Mariinsky Theatre for the premiere of that new double bill, the opera Yolanta and the ballet The Nutcracker, this sound would have struck us to the core. Nothing like that timbre had been heard in a Russian orchestra before. We might even forget about the stage for a moment, rise a little from our seats and try to peer into the orchestra pit, searching for the unseen instrument that can produce such magical tones. But would we actually find it? The celesta, for that is what we are hearing, is a very small wooden instrument, a little like a toy piano, usually tucked away in a far corner of the pit. For the audience at the premiere of the Nutcracker, this invisible instrument could well have been one of the most surprising moments of the evening. On the outside, the celesta has a keyboard like a small piano. But inside, instead of strings, there are rows of steel bars. Tiny hammers strike them, and we hear a soft, shimmering chime, as if a cluster of distant, enchanted bells were ringing far away. The story of this sound begins long before Tchaikovsky. In the late 18th century, in London, someone invented a tuning fork clavier, a small keyboard instrument in which the hammers struck tuning forks instead of strings. Almost a century later, the Parisian Moustel family, makers of fine keyboard instruments, picked up this idea and began experimenting with it. In 1886, Auguste Moustel replaced the tuning forks with thin metal bars and wooden resonators, and patented a new instrument. He called it the celesta, from a word meaning celestial or heavenly. Before long, its unusual sound caught the ear of the French composer Ernest Chausson, who used it in his incidental music to Shakespeare's The Tempest. But it was Tchaikovsky who truly brought the celesta into the big symphony orchestra and onto the ballet stage. In the spring of 1891, Tchaikovsky travelled to Paris. There he heard a Moustel's celesta for the first time and fell in love with its sound. In a letter to his publisher, Pyotr Ilyich, he wrote that he had discovered in Paris a new orchestral instrument, something between a small piano and a glockenspiel, with a divinely wonderful sound. He begged Ilyich to order the instrument directly from its inventor in Paris, even specifying the price, 1,200 francs, and insisted that the celesta must not be shown to anyone. He was afraid that Rimsky-Korsakov or Glazunov might sniff it out and use this new effect before he could. In the same letter, Tchaikovsky admitted that he foresaw a colossal theatrical effect from this instrument and wanted its first public appearance to be in his own music. The whole story already sounds like a little musical spy thriller. The celesta was heard first in his symphonic ballad, The Voyevoda, at its Moscow premiere in November 1891. Soon afterwards, Tchaikovsky reserved a special place for it in his new ballet, The Nutcracker. In the ballet's scenario, choreographer Marius Petipa wrote that in the Sugar Plum Fairy's variation, the music should resemble the sound of drops falling in a fountain. And this is where the celesta enters, transparent, sparkling, like a spray of glass dust hanging in the air. Now let's return to that December evening in 1892 at the Mariinsky Theatre. The audience already knew the sound of harps, bells and triangle, but this soft tone that seems to melt in the air was something entirely new. In the orchestra pit, a modest new instrument stands quietly in the corner, while around us, critics and composers whisper to each other. Where is that sound coming from? Today, the celesta appears everywhere, from Mahler and Bartók to Debussy, Britten, and even Hollywood. Its shimmering tone has become a favourite colour for film composers. John Williams, Bernard Herrmann, even Charlie Chaplin used it to add a touch of magic or mystery. And of course, that same delicate chime opens one of the most iconic themes in modern film music, Hedwig's theme from Harry Potter. But for many listeners, the celesta will always carry the voice of the Sugar Plum Fairy. And behind that sparkling Christmas bell sound stood one very real choice by Tchaikovsky himself. To bring a brand new instrument to Russia, keep it hidden from his colleagues, and offer his audience a surprise, a small miracle rising from the orchestra pit.